Okay, so here it says find this annual simple interest rate. So this time they want us to find the rate. That's our R. So they're going to give us all of the other information that we need. And they're telling us with the letters, the I is $24. So where I have an I, I'm going to write $24. Okay, where I have the letter P, I'm going to write $400. So 400. Okay, then I have times R normally, which I'm going to go ahead and, since I'm doing multiplying between these last three things, I'm going to put the R at the very end. Remember, when you multiply, it doesn't matter the order. So I'm going to go ahead and now put for my T the 2. So times 2, and then times R. Okay, so when I go through to solve this, let's shift this down here so I can actually write. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now, and I want to work to simplify. So when I simplify this out, I still have 24 on this side right now, equals, let's simplify this. We get 800, right? 400 times 2 is 800 times R. Now we're going to go ahead and get R by itself. So if we work to get R by itself, divide by 800. So we're back to a one-step equation that you guys worked back in chapter 1. Okay, so now if we take 24 divided by 800, that gives us 0.03. Now remember, they want the percentage rate, so we're going to have to change this into its percent form. This would be 3%. Okay, so sometimes they're going to have us solve for another unknown. So you're going to plug in the stuff that you know. They're going to tell you. They're going to label for you, and then you're going to solve for that missing letter. What I recommend is, if it's in this back end, write everything that you know and put whatever letter it is that they ask you to find off the back. Okay, it's just easier, simpler for you to understand it that way. Okay, so let's try another one like that. Okay, so we're going to plug our information in. So do we know our I? Yes, it's $562.50. So we know the I. We have an equal sign. Okay, do we know the P? Yep, it's 1,500. Do we know the R? No, that's what we're trying to figure, so I'm not going to write it yet. Do we know the T? Yes, there's our T, which was 5 years, so times 5. And now I'm going to put the R in the back end. Okay, so our next step, we want to simplify. So we're going to go ahead and solve for this part of it. So 1,500 times 5. That gives us 7,500 times R equals our, 562.50. Okay, now I want to get that R by itself. So back to a one-step equation. We're going to divide by 7,500. It's gone. Divide by 7,500. So now I'm going to plug it in the way that I see it. 562.50 divided by 7,500. When I do that, I get this number, 0.075 equals R. Remember, it's percentage rate. So 2 places for our final answer would be 7.5%. Anytime it asks for the rate, we have to change it to its percent form. Okay, so that's working with just solving for another spot out of that equation. So they're having us work algebra. Okay, plug in the stuff that we know and solve for that unknown. So let's try another one. This time they're asking for the amount of time. Okay, same concept. It's just that this time we're not going to have the time given to us. We're going to solve for the time. Okay, so do we know our I? Yes, that's $30. Okay, then I have an equal sign. So I'm just substituting in. For my P, yep, I know that. It's 500. Do I know the R? Yes, my R is 3%, so I want to write that as its decimal form, 0.03. I don't know the time, so that's what I'm going to write as T. Okay, so now we're going to simplify. So we want to go ahead and get this by itself, or not by itself, but to simplify it down. So I have 30 equals 500 times 0.03 is going to give me 15. And then my T is left over. So now to get the T by itself, we're going to go ahead and divide by 15. Divide by 15. 30 divided by 15 gives us the t, or time, equals 2 years. Okay. Same thing as what we just did in the previous one. It's just that now we're solving for the time. So a different letter in that 4-letter setup. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and pause your video and get your equation for this one set up and then solve for your t. So once again, plug in the stuff that you know. Okay, you know your I, you know the P, and you know the R. So you're going to end up with your T sitting on the back end. Okay, so go ahead, pause your video and work your way through this one. Okay, for this one, you should have ended up that t equals 1.5 years. If you didn't get that, make sure that you wrote out your decimal correctly here, because I could see that maybe being one spot where people would make a mistake. So that's just working with that formula and not having to memorize 4 different formulas, but being able to substitute in and then use algebra to solve for those missing parts.